Hey sewing friends, Ro here. Welcome to my channel, Ro Can Sew. In this episode, this is kind of a spontaneous episode. I'm going to kind of cover a lot of different things. I was going to wait until I had the project that I'm working on finished, but I ran into a hiccup, so I'm just going to kind of let you know where I'm at so far with that. Editing Ro here. I've decided to split this video into two separate videos. I started sharing the blue suit set and then I moved on to sharing the status of my current project. However, because that project is quite involved, there was apparently a lot to share, and if I had left that information in this video, it would have been over an hour long. I apologize for the potentially disjointed nature of both this video and the next one to be released, but I hope you understand, and I do apologize, and we can now get back to previous Ro. Thank you. And then I'm going to talk about briefly another make that I made. It's actually a set that I made. I put it up for vote on Instagram. I gave my Instagram followers two choices of what I was going to make next. And one of them was going to be the black suit that I previously made a video on. I was going to make that again, but make it out of a different type of fabric, a more structured fabric, to see how that would look in comparison. Or I could make two new items entirely out of this very lightweight suiting. And this is the one that the Instagram followers voted for. So that's the set that I made. So I made Vogue 9302. They're described as semi-fitted pants, which have a waistband, pockets, front pleats, a side zipper closure, and length variations. And then one of the views has a grosgrain ribbon accent option for the outer side seams of the pants, which I did not do. So I made mine out of a stretch suiting that I got from, I believe, Fabric Mart Fabrics quite some time ago on a sale. I'm sure it's no longer available. But it was a slate blue polyester rayon lycra heathered stretch suiting. And I'll get the pants, and I'll see if I can get this close, if you can see the heathered look to it. Anyway, it's a very lightweight suiting. See if I can hold one of the pant legs up so you can kind of see. It's very light. It has, well, it's supposed to be a stretch suiting. It doesn't have a whole lot of stretch though. The stretch is very minute. So I made view C, and this was another option I put up for vote on Instagram. I have recently found out, as I've been exploring pants, I've typically been ending up with cropped pants. I'm wearing a cropped pair right now, actually. I'll see if I can put a picture in. Oh, and about what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Raglan tee from fabricstore.com, but this one is made out of a cotton, and I made it several years ago. And I'm just wearing it with a pair of linen cropped pants, and I will try to put something about that up on the screen about what I'm wearing, which doesn't have anything to do with what I'm making here today, other than I'm wearing cropped pants, and I normally like to make cropped pants, but these pants I'm going to talk about are not cropped. So for these, I made view C, and again, that was because I put that up for vote on Instagram, and they picked the long pants. I was a little nervous about that because the past, if you've watched my previous video, I've struggled with pant length hems, trying to find that hem length that works for me, and I don't have any specific spot, like a sweet spot for a hem length. It's so variant depending on the type of fabric, the style of the pant, the time of year I'm going to wear it in. So yeah, I was nervous about this, but I went ahead, and because they voted for it and I agreed to do it, I made the long pants, and I think that this actually worked out. I'm only 5 feet tall, so I had to remove 2 inches of length from the pant leg pieces prior to cutting my fabric out. And I did that at the designated lengthen, shorten lines. Let's see. The pants were easy to assemble. The only issues that I had with them were the side zip. I've put in invisible side zips before. I don't enjoy it, especially when the zip bridges past the waistband. There's something about putting the zip in on the side in your regular seam, that's fine. But when it gets to crossing over the waistband and you have all of the bulk from the seam allowances, that tends to be tricky for me. And I sometimes might trim off too much or not enough, or if I get nervous, I leave too much of the seam allowance in, then it seems like it's bulky. I just haven't perfected that. And in addition to that, when one finishes the inside of the waistband, there's a very careful way to do that so that the fabric doesn't crowd the zipper, so the zipper can be operated smoothly. So there's a way, I've seen images, I know that it can be done, but a way to have the seams at an angle away from the zipper so that it operates smoothly. And I really struggle with getting that just right. So the inside of my pant of the zipper doesn't look that great. You know, it's not the prettiest, but it's functional, it does work. And just to ensure its security, I just made this little flap to go on the inside. So I just took a piece of fabric and I made it big enough to bridge the zipper on both sides. I stitched around the edges like you would a pillow or something. I left a space open, I turned it inside out, top stitched it all around, closed, and then I just stitched one end onto the back side of the waistband, and then I put a large snap that I had on hand on the front part of the waistband so that I just have a piece that's secure in here. So if for any reason my zipper goes poorly, you know, I have some sort of an issue with the zipper, it doesn't stay locked in place, it comes down something, I just feel like this gives me more security. And even though this isn't the most attractive, it's on the inside, nobody's going to see it, but it did kind of spark this idea in me, which is not new. I'm sure that it's been done numerous times, but I think moving forward, if I'm going to continue with invisible zips, I think I'm going to stop them at the waistband, and I will just adjust my pattern pieces so that one side of my waistband has that tab incorporated into it. So instead of, see if I can get this open here, instead of sewing this tab on the inside, I might just extend my waistbands in the future. You know, just kind of extend this piece and finish the waistband out here, make it extra long. So my zipper just comes up to the waistband, stops, and then this tab can cross over to the front and have a button, have a snap, have a hook, something like that will secure this. And I think I could put forth the effort, and, you know, over time, maybe I would be able to get this perfected. I'm just thinking as another option, if this just becomes too frustrating for me, I'll just have the zipper stop here and just create my own tab and make it a part of the design and make a design element. Would I do one on the other side to make it match? I suppose that's an option, not necessary. Seems a little extra, you know, and I could just have it stay on the inside, so the zipper stops here and the tab just closes on the inside and it still gives it a clean look. Anyway, as I'm talking about this, I'm realizing that this pattern calls for a center back zip, and I do not like those. So I used a tutorial that I saw on YouTube from Elfie Sews, I think is what it's called. So I'll link that below also. And she had a tutorial that showed moving the invisible zip to the side when you have a side seam that, you know, also has a pocket in it, because these pants do have side pockets. And I found the tutorial useful, helpful. I didn't have any problems with it, with the exception of when I did finish it, one of these sides, I don't remember which one, but one of the sides of my pockets I realized somewhere in here, I don't remember if it was, this is such a while ago, there was some element of the zipper that did not get, she didn't mention finishing during her instructions. So once the zipper was finished, I had some piece of fabric here that was unfinished, and I had to try to run that through my serger after the zipper was in place, which was a little tricky, but other than that, I found the tutorial very useful. I think the pants are really, really flattering, really pretty. They have these front pleats that go all the way, they're pressed. They're designed for you to press that all the way down to the hemline. So that's a pressed in crease that comes off of the front pleat here, which I think is really pretty. The amount of ease in these pants, as far as like fit, the amount of ease in these pants is, let me see. So I made a size 10, and a size 10 regular measurements is 32 bust, which doesn't matter for the pants, 25 waist, 34.5-inch hips for the size 10. Now the finished garment measurements, so the waist has 2 inches of ease. The finished garment measurements are 27 inches. And the hip finished garment measurement is even more. It's 38 inches. So that's almost 4 inches of ease in the hips, which is obviously a lot of that is gonna be folded in with this pleat here, but it's still loose. And I did find that in the very back, in the back seam, I kind of feel like there's a little extra fabric that hangs down on either side, but I mean, it's kind of nitpicking things. Overall, they're comfortable, they'll stay up, and then they give me space for when my weight fluctuates and my measurements move. But yeah, the pattern itself was really easy to put together. I think the only other thing with this is that, and I don't know if anyone else has this issue, waistbands are still a little tricky for me. So when I sew deciding which side of the waistband is going to have the interfacing, I followed the instructions here. Some patterns recommend you interface that inside piece. Some patterns have you interface the outside piece. And I find that if I interface the outside piece, while that gives it a nice clean look on the outside, that loose fabric on the inside sometimes can be distorted when I am like folding over and tucking in the waistband. If I'm putting the interfacing on the inside, then as for the outside, when I go to put the waistband on, I feel like because the outer piece doesn't have that stiffness to it, it can kind of ripple as well. So I don't know, I'm not, maybe it's just a technique thing. I just haven't gotten that down perfect yet, but it looks fine. I mean, it looks fine. No one's going to see it, basically, especially with the top that I wear it with. I'm going to cover it up. I don't really wear crop tops or anything short, so it looks fine. But because I have that issue on the inside, turning these waistbands under and having a bunch of bulk, for this one, I just serged the edge and I just cut it really close and then top stitched it. Looks like I carefully, and didn't do the best job because I caught it in some places, I attempted the stitching in the ditch thing, which I'm not a big fan of, but I was afraid that if I stitched over the waistband, that was just going to make it pull funny. So yeah, overall though, I'm happy with the pants. They actually fit. I don't really have any dress pants outside of the ones I made in the last video, the black ones that I made. I don't have any dress pants currently, so I was in need of some. And these are full length, so that's nice, and it's a lighter weight. So it should be able to get me through a few different seasons. And then with that, Instagram chose this option, which this is an out of print pattern, but this is the McCall's M6564. It's a Palmer plush pattern. This is a semi-fitted wrap top. They have front extended. Let me put my eyes on. Fronts are extending into the standing back collar, has front pleats, inside ties, gathered attached ties with the wrong side showing, and a narrow hem. Views A and C have a purchased buckle, but I didn't make that one. and the sleeves are gathered into bands for view D, which also I did not make. I was gonna make the short sleeve of view B, but Instagram picked the sleeve length from view C, which is kind of like a mid-length, and I was kind of unsure about that because of where it stops. You know, I thought it was like a 3/4 length at first, so I thought it was going to come closer to somewhere like this on the arm, but then when I looked at the drawing, it made it seem more like it comes at your elbow or waist. So I was unsure about it, but again, they picked it, and I said I would do what they picked, so I did it. I'm happy with it. I think that considering the length and the fullness of the pants, the top going with it, I think that that sleeve length works really well for it. But this is the top. So the view that I made, again, was view B, and I did it with the tie. So it has a tie, which is one side of the tie. Come back so you can see it. One side of the tie comes off of this front panel here. It's in between the outer piece and the inside facing. And you just gather the tie up, and it gets sandwiched into the seam allowance. And then the other side wraps all the way around, which has now come undone. But it wraps all the way around, and it is attached. Oh my goodness. It is attached on the same front piece, but on the side, so it's the same height, the same location, same side seams. These are actually darts. Is that a fisheye dart? Long darts go up all the way down to the hemline. And the two different ties are gathered in. I'll just undo the tie, which took me forever to get that tied in a relatively pretty way, but so, oh my goodness. This is the front. One side, the short side, is gathered in there, sandwiched in between the facing and the front, and then across from it you can see is the other. This is the longer tie, which right now is just draped over the shoulder to keep it off of the floor. But it is gathered into this side. And if I open it up, I can show you. It also has an internal tie. That way it stays closed. But I thought that it was really cool. This might not be cool for you. You might know all about this. But for me, I thought it was really cool how this is the dart, goes all the way down, and the tie is incorporated into this front dart. So I don't know if you can see like this extra thickness right here. This is where the tie, you can see my marking still there, but this is where the tie is stuck into the dart. So you actually cut your dart open and you line up your tie pieces with one side of the dart, and then you sew your dart like you would sew a regular seam. And then I very carefully serged the seam allowances of that only to within about 2 inches maybe of the tip. So this is the tip of the dart, and this is where the cutting stops and where the serging stops. Well, the cutting stops just right here, so about 1/4 to 1/2 inch above where I stopped my serging because I didn't want to eat into the fabric itself. And all of the other darts are the same, but they didn't need to be cut into. So the rest of the darts just look regular. The only one that's serged is the one that I had to actually cut open to get the tie in. And making the ties was very therapeutic. This fabric, it pressed nicely, it folded well, it just behaved well, and it just came out really pretty, and I really liked it. And when it was gathered, it was just very satisfying. The collar is really pretty. how the collar is, this is the back of the collar, so it sits up on the neck and then it wraps around the sides. Hopefully you'll be able to see it in the pictures. And then just gently comes down on the fronts. It's really pretty. It was a pain in the arse to make though. The beginning of the pattern, you start with the pleat, the shoulder pleat here, which is also very pretty. This pleat that goes right up at the base of the collar here on the shoulder line. But it was a little confusing the angle with which to cut. The instructions just weren't, for me, the most clear in the imaging. So I had a little bit of hesitation with how to cut into the seam allowance when I was creating this pleat. And then once I got that figured out, you go through, you do the whole rest of the shirt, then you come back to attach the collar, and the collar piece is separate. So it's part of the facing. So you have the facing that goes all down the side, and it meets in the center back with the facing on the other side, and that gets sewn to the front panels. It was all slightly tricky, and especially at these inside corners here, trying to get the collar around these points to go around the neck to get the facing to line right. I think I tore it out 2 or 3 times, and I had to start in the center and work my way out, and then start at the edge, work my way up. I got it done. It's not the prettiest, but it's all hidden in there. But it is smooth on the outside. There aren't any puckers. It is clean, but wasn't 100% sure I was going to be able to finish this because it was difficult. It was challenging me, but I got it done. And I think that it's a really pretty set. And I think Instagram did a really good job, and I really appreciated them voting on it. And I'm really proud of the set that I have. I think that it fits reasonably well. I will say that I'm glad that the top is a top and not a dress, because that tie that goes around the back, there are no belt loops to keep the tie in place. So, if I were doing a lot of stretching and all of this, and the top part of the top kind of comes out, it's going to really billow out, and you can kind of see that in some of the pictures where it kind of billows a little bit on the side. That's just the nature of a tie belt on a garment that doesn't have any belt loops, I guess. It's just how it is. But because it's a dress top, I don't anticipate seeing myself needing to move in that manner. Whatever. It's fine. I like it. I'm proud of it. Yeah, I think that's it for that. Would I make it again? Well, I think it's very pretty. I do like the way that it fits around my neck. I did enjoy, again, I already mentioned, there are elements of that I really enjoyed. That said, the neck was tricky enough once I got it done. I don't know that I'm overly anxious to make another one, which is kind of a shame because it is really pretty. But I don't want to say it's a very fussy top, but there's some fussy elements to it. The collar was fussy to make, and then as far as wearing and moving around, the belt with the tie, and I could have put loops in there, I guess, in hindsight, which I didn't, and I probably could still add them on now if I wanted to, as I'm thinking about it. Will I? I don't know. But it's not an everyday top. It's more of it's a dressier top. The only other thing that I did with that is that where the cross is, even though it has an inside tie and everything stays relatively in place, I think just to assist with that, I've marked just a location where the fronts cross over, and I have some clear, tiny little snaps or little poppers that I think I'm going to sew on there just to secure that so that I feel a little bit more confident with that. And that's it for those 2 makes. Hey there, this is VoiceOver Ro here to close out this video with more images of the blue suit. Please let me know in the comments your kind thoughts regarding these makes. How do you think my Instagram followers did by selecting the fabric and patterns for this set? I think they did great and I'm very pleased with the results. Have you made either of the patterns mentioned in this video? Are you thinking about making them? Please like this video if you liked the video. And again, I apologize for having to split this content into two separate videos. The next video will be an update on my current project, which is a denim jacket for my husband that was nearing completion when it acquired a minor sewing catastrophe. So please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell if you'd like to be alerted to the drama with that make. Thank you so much for your time bearing witness to my awkwardness, and until next time, take care. Bye.